Swarmkeeper Ranger. I gotta tell you guys, I'm not that excited to cover this one. I saw this subclass get announced and I was like, okay, that's probably my least favorite one that they're bringing to BG3. I'm very much a fan of the other Ranger subclasses, so much so that I think Ranger is, if not my top favorite like fantasy class in general. So then to go to Swarmkeeper, which is now like my least interested subclass, it's kind of sad. Because who doesn't look at this subclass and just go,
what is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! My eyes! Ah!
Anyways, this is basically a Nomad After Dark video, so let's get into the game. Now, before we get too deep into Ranger and the subclass, I do want to make a special mention of basically Booming Blade and how it's interacting with Eldritch Knight. There is a good chance that this form of Booming Blade is not going to make it to the game live, so I just want you guys to see how absolutely overpowered this makes Eldritch Knight. At level 11 Eldritch Knight, you get that improved extra attack. So you're using Booming Blade 3 times, and alongside the Warcaster subclass feature that Eldritch Knights get, you then use your bonus action as another Booming Blade. So in grand total, that's 4 Booming Blades with no haste, no action surge, no elixir of bloodlust, just raw, just basic Eldritch Knight essentially. It is super busted, and I just kind of want to have it cataloged so when the live version comes out, and it probably is going to get changed, we can look back and say, man, during that stress test, man, those were the good old days. Anywho, let's talk about Swarmkeeper. So we're going to go with Ranger here. Favorite enemy, I like to go with Bounty Hunter or Ranger Knight. Now, these Wasteland Wanderers, so this will give us resistance to whatever elemental types of cold, fire, poison, depending on what we pick. But I do like to have my Ranger as my like lockpick dexterity class, because I usually don't take a Ranger and then something like a Rogue. I just let my Ranger basically do all the Rogue things like lockpicking. And then for our ability spread here, obviously high dexterity, high wisdom, and then a good amount of constitution. You can also make something like a strength Ranger, but we're not going to do that in this video. So let's get to level 2. So at level 2, we pick up a fighting style, but first let's pick up some spells. The bread and butter of all Rangers is Hunter Mark, and then probably Long Strider or Enhanced Leap. I actually tend to be picking Enhanced Leap a little bit more lately, but we can move on to fighting style, and the picks here are either archery, defense, or 2-weapon fighting. I am going to be focusing on a bow, so we're going to go with just archery. Although really in the late game, you don't really need this +2 to bonus range. This is really helpful in the early games. It kind of tapers off in the late game because you have weapon enchantments by like +2, +3 by then. But for the sake of moving this along, we're just going to go with archery. My next pick would probably be 2-weapon fighting, because even if you're not going to use 2 hand crossbows, using something like a short sword and a dagger is always a nice melee option. Anyways, that's going to be my pick here. Let's move on to level 3. All right, and then at level 3, this is when we pick up our subclass, but first we pick up a spell. This is when I'd probably take Enhanced Leap, and then subclass here, Swarmkeeper. Now, I am of the opinion that every Hunter subclass, or every Ranger subclass, sorry, I was reading Hunter here. Hunter, Gloomstalker, and Beastmaster are actually all really good subclasses. Beastmaster and Hunter, they shine a little bit more in the late game, while Gloomstalker is probably one of the best classes in Act 1. So Swarmkeeper, you have a lot to live up to here, so let's go ahead and see what you can do. So as a Swarmkeeper, you have forged a deep connection with your natural surroundings and formed a magical bond with a swarm of nature spirits. Cool. This swarm serves as a helpful companion and a potent force in battle. Well, we will be the judge of that. So we have gained a passive, Gather Swarm. It doesn't exactly tell us what it is, but we do get to pick our Gather Swarm there. I think it's like the jellyfish, the bee, that's what you pick there. But first, let's go over our subclass feature. We get Praise Scent. Your swarm deals additional damage to creatures marked by your Hunter's Mark. So this is why Hunter's Mark is essential with every Hunter. We do pick up a cantrip, which is Magic Hand. So that's new. Magic Hand is a decent cantrip, so, you know, fair play. And then we pick up Fairy Fire as a spell. I don't really know how often we're going to utilize this, but Fairy Fire is not horrible, so, you know, a nice addition. So Gathered Swarm, let's see here. So we get to pick a Legion of Bees, a Cloud of Jellyfish, or a Flurry of Moss. So let's look at the Legion of Bees here. Okay, there's actually nothing special to actually inspect. You actually just read the passive feature here. So you gain a swarm of bees to fight on your side. Once per round, your swarm can assist you in one of 3 ways after you attack an enemy. It can deal damage, and it's piercing damage. It can push your enemy away or teleport you to a safe location. So that can be handy. So that's a nice 3 options there. You get to choose basically a damage type or to push away an enemy. I'm not going to argue about those both sound pretty good. And then the teleport to a safer location kind of reminds me of Storm Sorcery, how you get that action, bonus action to kind of like fly away. I'm going to assume it's going to work like that, but we will see. For Cloud of Jellyfish, does the same thing, except for instead of piercing damage, you get to add lightning damage. And then instead of pushing, you can shock your enemy. And we can inspect this one. And for those of you who don't remember what shocked does, when you're shocked, you cannot take a reaction and you have disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws using dexterity. And then at the end there, teleport to a safer location. So every one of these swarms, I'm guessing, yeah, they all have teleport you to a safer location and they all deal like their respective damage type. So for the Flurry of Moss here, this is psychic damage and then blind your enemy. So out of the 3 of these, I'm thinking the push is probably the one I would use the most. So that would be the bees. And piercing damage is not horrible, but I also like the lightning damage of the jellyfish as well. And then the moss, I'm not a fan of moss, so just in general, nobody likes moss. So one of these 2, I think I'm gonna go with. Let's just go with jellyfish. I want that lightning damage. And then replace spell. We don't want to do anything with that. So yeah, let's move on to level 4. On level 4, we pick up our first feat. Okay, so you can change your swarm, I'm guessing at every level, kind of like replace spell, but obviously it's change swarm. So that's good to know, just in case you want to change up your damage type, I guess if it's not really working for you. First feat as a ranger, since we are going to focus on a bow, I'm going to go with Sharpshooter. And Sharpshooter is a great choice, especially if you took archery as your fighting style. Later on, we're just going to basically want to bump up our dexterity. But let's move on to level 5. Level 5 will pick up extra attack, and then we get our level 2 spells. So it looks like intrinsically we learn web. And I'm wondering, will that change if we change, say, our... No, okay. I was going to see if it was going to change depending on our swarm. It does not look like it does. But we can pick our level 2 spell. There's some good ones here. Pass Without Trace is amazing if you can have somebody cast greater invisibility on you. But we're really not going to be showing that off here, but I'm going to take it anyways. And then we can move on to level 6. So level 6 Ranger, we pick up a favorite enemy and another natural explorer. I usually like to go with Ranger Knight, and then for Explorer, I usually take fire. A lot of things do fire and poison damage in this game. Obviously, we're not going to change our swarm because we haven't even seen the jellyfish work yet. And then we got level 7s here. I see we get another subclass feature. So let's go down there. And what do we get? So we get Riving Tide. So you can condense part of your swarm into a focused mass that lifts you up, granting you a fly speed of 3 meters, so you get to fly, and protecting you from surface effects. So basically you can pick yourself out of something like fire or maybe ice on the ground, and you can safely move out of it without, slipping or taking burning damage. So that's decent. Not really going to complain about that. We do pick up another spell, kind of whatever you want. If we're Gloomstalker, we could basically get Dark Vision, so we're not Gloomstalker, so maybe take it here. Honestly, I really am just going to be focusing on Hunter's Mark. So let's go ahead and just move to level 8. I think we can probably zoom past the rest of these levels in general. I said we were going to bump up our dexterity, so let's do that. We didn't get anything else new here, so let's go to level 9. At level 9, we do pick up Gaseous Form. This is okay. I actually never see myself using it. It is a concentration as well. Kind of a utility pick here. You can fit in between like small like cracks and like little like holes to go like into different parts of buildings, like deeper in like the jail cells and stuff. But I honestly don't find myself using that too often in really any playthroughs. And then for our level 3 spells here, I'm going to pick up Lightning Arrow. Obviously I like lightning because we're taking Jellyfish. But another good one is Conjure Barrage. This is not bad either. Obviously, we're going to keep our Swarm, and we can move on to level 10. Level 10, we pick up Hide in Plain Sight. This every hunter gets this. I say hunter, but I mean ranger. Favorite enemy, we get to pick up another one. I'm just going to pick up Sanctified Stalker, kind of give off that like Belmont vibe from Castlevania. And then for our natural explorer, I'm gonna take I think poison for now. I think that's a fine pick. Poison or cold I think is the best one here. Obviously if you want to be more in tune with like animals, you can find a familiar, so that's not bad either, but I'm gonna take poison here, and then we can move on to level 11. So level 11 is when Hunter and Beastmaster get really strong, in my opinion. So we pick up the subclass feature, Mighty Swarm. Your swarm has grown stronger. The swarm's regular attacks now deal 1d8 and its special attack has one additional feature. And teleporting with your swarm now increases your armor class for the rest of the round. So a little bit of survivability, a little bit more damage. Gonna see how that plays. We do gain another spell. I'm going to go with Conjure Barrage, and we can move on to the last level 12 where we're gonna pick up our last feat. Surprise, surprise, it's going to be ability score improvement for dexterity. All right, let's hit the gameplay section. So here in the gameplay section, we're actually just going to pick a fight with a Steel Watcher. And we're going to keep in mind that Steel Watchers they have a lot of resistances. So we'll keep that in mind as far as when we're looking at damage numbers. But as far as the gear goes, we're going with the Elegant Studded Leather. This just looks really good. But also, you know, that 2 initiative and then the shield reaction spell, that's not bad. Evasive Boots, just give us a little more armor class. We have the Ring of Protection here. Sunwalker's Gift, we actually don't need that, but it's nice to have if we were somewhere dark. We have Long Arm of Gerv, this is okay crossbow, just that 2+2 to weapon enchantment is what I was looking at. And then longsword wise, we have the Falar Luve, so that's pretty decent. It's an Act 1 sword, but I feel like it's pretty good the whole game. And it also is a finesse weapon, which means it scales off our dexterity or strength, whatever's highest. And in this case, obviously, it's our dexterity. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention real quick before we get back to Swarmkeeper. So for multi-classing, if you take Blade Singer and you take Circle of the Stars and you use the luminous arrow from Circle of the Stars, that bonus action bow and arrow shot, that will add a blade dancing like damage charge to your Blade Song climax. It's an evocation spell and it's free. It doesn't cost anything except for a bonus action, so it doesn't cost a spell slot. So little synergy going on there. So the multi-class like thoughts and stuff, I'm trying to keep them bundled in, but they're boiling and bubbling to the top. Anyways, let's get back to the Swarmkeeper here. You can see we have this like little butterfly effect around us. Actually, it's not a butterfly, a little jellyfish. Okay. I'm guessing if I change that, they'll be bees or they will be moss. So that's cool. So really the only new thing with our bar here is Writhing Tide. So this will use a Writhing Current, which is it's a new resource. So we got 4 of them and they come back on long rest. And this essentially, okay, so this kind of just gives us fly. That's cool. I casted freaking Enhanced Leap on myself, but if you have this and you don't mind spending the resource, it kind of just replaces it. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, let's start a fight with this Steel Watch. I'm probably just going to jump over, cast Hunter's Mark on him, and then hit the Haste Potion, this Potion of Speed, and then we'll see what happens. Let's fly over. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, yeah, it's just a fly. Okay, well, this guy caught us while we were flying. Yeah, Steel Watch, they have really high initiative, if you guys, if it's been a while. But they are resistant to slashing damage, piercing damage, bludgeoning damage, fire, immune to psychic damage, and immune to poison damage. So psychic damage here. It's a good thing we didn't take the moss. So let's go ahead, cast Hunter's Mark. I should have drinking that potion first. And then let's just hit him with a regular attack because I don't think lightning damage is going to... Yeah, it only has a 4% chance to hit him. That's not great at all. So let's just go ahead and hit him with a ranged attack, 85%. That's better. And we missed. Good job. We'll just use Luck of the Realms here. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. Okay, we have 3 options as you can see. So Mighty Teleport, use your swarm to carry you to a new location and we gain +2 to our armor class. And that should be to the end of the turn. This is what we're going to use. But let's go ahead and read the other ones. So the next one is Mighty Shocking Sting. So use your swarm to shock and disarm your target. So this is a Steel Watch. You can disarm them. So this is an option as well. That's probably the optimal pick right now. And the other one here, just attack. It deals an additional 1d8 lightning damage. So let's look at our log real quick. So we hit them for 18 piercing, and that's because they're resistant. They cut our damage in half, but not a bad chunk of damage. And then we would be adding another 8. I'm going to use the Mighty Teleport and let's just see what this does. Okay, so it actually, cool. Okay, so it just gives us like a Misty Step, although this teleport range is not too far. Now I have movement speed left, so I can move and obviously the bubble will move with me. But man, if you were just, oh, I wonder if we can still move. Let's try this out. Can this just go through here? It can. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's just like a blink. It's like a teleport. That's cool. So it's basically like a small Misty Step, and now I can actually just kite a little bit. Nice. Okay, I like that. Oh, he's just okay. He's just saying, get over here, bitch. Where you think you're going? Yeah, he didn't get me. All right, we're going to do this right this time. We can also use Writhing Tide again and fly around. So a very mobile ranger is what I'm picking up on here. Let's go ahead and hit a potion of speed, giving us an extra action. And he's a little far for using any of the barrages. These are basically like conal AoEs right in front of you, and they do piercing or slashing damage. And we know this guy here he's got resistant to slashing damage, so it wouldn't do a lot of damage anyways. So we'll just hit him with the normal attack because I want to see what the other reaction is. So this will basically pop up every time. That's nice. So let's do Mighty Shock and let's see if it disarms him. All right, so he had a saving throw against it. I'm guessing the dice check for this is based off of our wisdom. I really wish when we had our dice check there, it would tell you, but that's okay. Let's try to hit him again and see if that procs every time. We hit him. No, it's only going to proc once per turn. I think I remember that in the leveling. Oh, what's the matter, Steelwatch? You stuck behind your wall. Oh, I can't hit you right here. All right. Okay. Well, let's move back and let's just try to do additional damage now. Shocking Sting. No, let's go with the attack. Okay. So if we look at the log over here, it did two rolls. So this was the base version. So when you first get Swarmkeeper, it's going to do this 1d6 lightning damage. And then you remember we picked up the improved version or the mightier version. So that's this 1d8. So both of these combined, I mean, that is a nice chunk of damage that gets added onto your range attack here. Because most damage that you like tick up in Baldur's Gate 3, it's usually just like small little increments of like 2 here, a 1d6 there, 1d4 there. So the fact that we get 2 of them here, that's not bad. And that's with like, again, I'm not running any like extra equipment to bump my damage. So keep that in mind if you're looking at this and being like, well, this is trash. This ain't Booming Blade. You're right. It's not Booming Blade. Let's keep going. I just want to try a lightning arrow. Sometimes it does get confusing as far as like when you see a percentage, it's like, is this the actual chance of hitting them? Or is this like the saving throw chance for them? And for lightning arrow, it is the saving chance for them. So we should be using lightning arrow a little bit more. Because as you can see here, it did a fair bit of damage. So no complaints there. So it looks like with lightning arrow, dude, I can't remember if this is normal or a bug because he succeeded the saving throw. The first lightning arrow damage, it got reduced by half, but the second did not. Oh well, let's just keep plinking them down. So it's kind of, so as far as like the extra damage stuff, it kind of reminds me of the Colossus Slayer, the perk you get when you're a hunter that just adds a little bit of damage each turn. So this is kind of plays into that. Is this horrible? Not really. I think the only thing that's really kind of my big hang up with this is the fact that it's just the theme. I'm just not a fan of like the Swarmkeeper theme. But this subclass, it seems fine. You can see there, we disarmed him, so he's basically useless. So we got a little bit of like crowd control, a little bit of debuffing going on as well. I do like this animation. That is a cool looking like lightning effect. So I am a fan of that. All right, so that's the fight essentially. Not the best damage and a little bit underwhelming is what I would say the biggest critique is. I'm now going to go back and change to the bees instead of the jellyfish. I'm going to fight some guards and we're going to see kind of like what the push looks like. And then the moss, you know what guys, I will leave that for you to discover. You know, I don't want to spoil everything. All right, and we changed it to have the bee swarm. We could put on some more equipment just to make this go a little bit faster, do a little bit more damage. I switched to 2 weapon fighting so I could use 2 one-handed crossbows. You can see I also have the bloodlust elixir, so that's a red, but you can see the little yellow bees around me. And I just want to see the pushing effect that comes with using the bees instead. So we're going to cause a little bit of trouble. But let's take out the mage first. They will counterspell us if we try to do anything here. So that'll be annoying. Let's take that potion of speed real quick. And let's just dunk on them. Okay, knockback, which is this one here. Let's see what that does. Okay, so it just knocks them prone. I wonder if they hit like the back of this tree. So we'll try that again. Okay, so they're dead. And then who else is the next threat? This guy can be annoying. So let's take him out. Yeah, the only thing that's unfortunate, another thing I guess unfortunate about this class is, yeah, once per turn is when you get those 3 choices. I gotta come out a little bit closer. Let's use Hunter's Mark on you. And let's just hit you and then see. Okay, now let's try the knockback again. Nope. Okay, so it just knocks him prone. So it's not an actual push. Huh, I wonder why they just didn't put prone in the description for the tooltip. Might be something they fix later. But good to know for now. Well, we might as well finish the fight, so let's go ahead and just use our crossbow shots on him. And let's just go with the bee's attack. So a little bit of a sting there. Let's look at the log real quick as far as the piercing damage. I mean, it's the same as the lightning one, where it's a 1d6 and a 1d8. The 8 is obviously, again, when you hit the mightier version of the swarm. So I feel like it's going to be very situational when you use the actual status effect, like buff that they give you once per turn. But I feel like you just always go with doing extra damage. So not the worst. I'm just, yeah, not really blown away. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how often I'm actually going to pick up Swarmkeeper in general. Is it bad? No. Do I like the fantasy, like the class fantasy of it? Not really. It didn't really win me over, but hey, if you like the class fantasy of this and you think this is cool, you don't have to listen to anything I'm saying here. It's not a big deal as long as you're having fun and that's like your role play that you're doing in the game. Because I don't know how many times I need to say this. Baldur's Gate 3 is a very easy game. It's very well balanced where everything is viable. So if you like playing something that's not min-maxed or part of like some sort of meta, that's completely fine. Anyways, we have 2 more subclasses to tackle tomorrow, and then that'll be it. I'll have covered all of them. So early next week, I might do sort of like a rundown of all the subclasses and kind of go over my favorite ones, and then maybe go over some more like combinations and fun things that are going on with the subclasses. Like I mentioned earlier in the video with the Eldritch Knight and the 4 booming blades. It's really fun to see and play with. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this late night edition with me, your host, Nomad, and I will see you next time. Peace. Take care.